I stood there in the open-plan office of our tech firm in Reno, Nevada, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows as Jack loaded up the last of his stuff into a beat-up cardboard box. The Sierra Nevada mountains loomed in the distance, their snow-capped peaks a stark contrast to the dry heat baking the parking lot outside. Jack had been with Sierra Data Solutions for 15 years. Ever since the company was just a startup in a converted warehouse off Interstate 80. He'd built the backbone of our operations from scratch, the custom data pipelines that kept our cloud services humming, the automated compliance checks that saved us from FTC audits, and those late-night fixes during the 2018 wildfire outages when half the state was offline. But now, here he was, packing it all away like it was yesterday's recycling. It should have been me speaking up in that HR meeting. Not that I coveted his job, God no. I was happy in my mid-level analyst role, crunching numbers and keeping the dashboards clean. But someone needed to tell them, this place doesn't tick without Jack. Instead, I sat frozen at my desk, pretending to tweak a report on vendor integrations, one that still ran on scripts he'd written back when we were bootstrapping. The HR rep, Megan, had dropped the bomb with that corporate smile. We're streamlining roles. Sarah has a fresh MBA from Stanford. You'll see the value. Value? Sarah wouldn't know a self-healing network from a hole in the ground. She hadn't pulled all-nighters debugging our payroll during the pandemic shutdowns or architected the failover system that kept us afloat when a ransomware scare hit our competitors. Jack didn't make a fuss. He just nodded, asked about his keycard, and gave the office one last glance, the same spot where he'd sketched our entire multi-cloud strategy on a greasy napkin during a team barbecue. As he passed my cubicle, our eyes met. He offered a weary grin, the kind that said, "Buckle up, buddy." And I knew trouble was brewing, though I underestimated how deep his fingerprints ran through our systems. Jack wasn't just a director of infrastructure. He was the ghost in the machine, the guy whose undocumented tweaks and personal auth tokens held everything together. No fancy title.
No social media bragging.
Just raw, hands-on know-how that came from years in the trenches. The new hire, Sarah, was already schmoozing in the break room with the execs, clinking sparkling waters and gabbing about her thesis on AI-driven efficiencies. Modernizing, they called it, as if firing the man who'd literally coded our modernization was progress. If I heard synergy one more time, I'd have hurled my coffee mug across the room. By mid-afternoon, I snuck a peek at the system's status board. All green lights, licenses pinging, data flows steady, user portals online. Sarah strutted by in her designer boots, smelling like citrus and ambition, and casually asked if I could email her Jack's admin creds. Like it was no big deal. I stared, because there were no simple creds. Jack was the creds, his rotating tokens, his custom middleware, all tied to agreements he negotiated back when the company was small enough to fit in a garage. At exactly 3 p.m., the elevator dinged, and Jack was gone. His nameplate sat orphaned on the front desk.
No fanfare.
No goodbye email. Then, at 3:45, chaos tiptoed in. Lisa, the CEO's assistant, bolted past the windows, heels clicking on the tile like gunfire. Phone glued to her ear. She barked. He's not answering. I think he's already left the lot. A few of us poked our heads up like gophers sensing a storm. My screen flickered once, then refreshed with a crimson alert. License validation error. Contact system admin. But there was no admin anymore. And right then, every suit who'd toasted Sarah's arrival felt that icy knot in their stomach. We hadn't replaced Jack. We'd erased him. The termination email had landed at 11 a.m. sharp. Subject: Role consolidation update. Bullet points like a grocery list. Pack belongings. Surrender access. Complete exit survey. Hand over key docs by 3 p.m. Signed off by Human Resources Team. No name.
No quorums.
Jack didn't rage. He just methodically cleared his desk. Wrapping that handmade mug from his son, the one with "World's Best Dad" finger-painted on it, next to a stack of old USB drives labeled Ops Backups V1-10. Megan from HR sauntered in, her face a mask of practiced empathy. If you could jot down some notes for Sarah, creds, workflows, vendors, it'd be a huge help. Jack nodded. Typed out a sparse list on his notepad. Payroll batches Fridays at midnight. Use primary sync script. VPN renews quarterly. License tracker in shared drive. Vendor contacts in secure folder. Dashboard via SSO only. Keep legacy logs. He handed it over with a polite smile. But I knew it was a Trojan horse. Those scripts? Tied to his personal auth system, per his original employment contract that granted him IP rights on custom builds. The shared drive? Out of sync since a botched migration in 2022 that no one fixed. Licenses? In his secured cloud account. Behind biometrics. As he headed out, a couple of us murmured support. Mike from DevOps whispered, "This joint's gonna tank without you." Jack shrugged. "Let's see about that."
No venom.
Just quiet truth. At 2:40, he dropped his keycard. Megan asked about a follow-up call. "I'll check my schedule," he said, and vanished into the Nevada sun. By 2:55, the new hire portal glitched for our incoming batch of remote workers, spinning icons where forms should be. No one batted an eye at first. At 3 o'clock, Sarah's access requests bounced. She rolled her eyes, probably cached. It'll sort itself. But Jack was already cruising down Highway 395, windows down, the desert wind whipping through, not looking back. His systems weren't crashing, they were unwinding, like a clock without its winder. He didn't blast tunes on the drive, just let the quiet settle. His phone buzzed texts, calls, emails, but he ignored them. The sun dipped toward the mountains, casting long shadows over the sagebrush. 15 years.
Poof.
Like dust in the wind. But in his mind, he mapped it all, the exec dashboard reliant on his 72-hour token refresh. The compliance tools keyed to an alias he'd set up pre-multi-factor auth. Vendor contracts with clauses naming him as liaison, clauses he'd insisted on to protect the company back in the day. Pulling into his driveway in a quiet suburb outside Reno, he parked under the pine tree his kids had climbed as tots. The house was still, welcoming. He kicked off his boots, fired up his personal laptop, the one with mirrored logs and keys, and methodically revoked tokens. No drama. Just legal housekeeping per his contract. Post-termination. No transfer without consent. At 3:40, he fixed a turkey sandwich, sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky orange. By 3:45, alerts rippled through the office. My desk phone rang off the hook as the first real errors hit. The exec dashboard, Sarah's big promise for real-time insights, froze mid-refresh. Budget projections vanished, KPIs stuck like glue. Token expired, the pop-up sneered. Admin renewal required. Sarah snapped. Pull Jack's backup creds. But his profile was deactivated, per HR's own protocol. In under an hour, what should have been a seamless handover turned into a house of cards tumbling in the desert wind. Back at his place, Jack savored the silence, but the calls kept coming. Lisa left voicemails, urgent,
Panicked.
By her fourth try, she was yelling into the receiver while scanning the parking lot like a hawk spotting prey. "You've reached Jack Harlan. Out of office indefinitely. For system support, Contact your admin.
Beep.
No admin existed now. Upstairs. Sarah pounded her keyboard. Why's the finance portal locked? I had access this morning. Credential mismatch. Tied to Jack's signature. Megan started firing off emails. Urgent. System handoff clarification. But Jack's auto-reply kicked in, out of office.
No forwarding.
He hadn't sabotaged a thing. No deleted files.
No backdoors.
Everything sat intact. Just hibernating without his touch. It was like pulling the plug on a life support machine. The patient doesn't die screaming. Just fades. Sarah dialed old classmates. Ex-colleagues in Silicon Valley. How do I bypass a chained off? Desperation dialed up the drama. Every click backfired. Payroll scheduler expired. Data flows errored. Script not found. Always. Contact admin. The leadership huddled in a glass-walled conference room, staring at screens like they could will them back to life. Someone floated. Call Jack for a consult. Megan hedged. We're reaching out. But they weren't apologizing. They were grasping. Jack, meanwhile, wasn't seething. This wasn't payback. It was consequence. You don't axe the guy propping up the roof and expect the walls to stand. By evening, Slack exploded into crisis mode. Whiteboard sessions mapped dependencies. But it was futile. Jack was the map. Our audit team uncovered the depth. Every license renewal funneled through his hub. Undocumented, because it was second nature. A key cert expired at 3:20 p.m. Unrenewable without his handshake. Regenerate it, the CFO barked. Can't. Keys in his private ring. Never migrated. Sarah tried to reboot, but Jack's safeguards flagged it as a breach, locking nodes tighter. Her brute force reset triggered vendor security, blacklisting our IP temporarily. The CEO emerged. Ty Askew. Demanding. What's missing? The log screamed. Unverified authority. Last token JH, Jack Harlan. Why no migration? Crickets. Because Jack handled it seamlessly, and no one questioned the wizard behind the curtain. Systems stuttered, not exploding, but grinding to a halt, like a truck running out of gas in the Nevada Badlands. At 7:30 p.m., the CFO called Jack direct. Voice oily. Just some loose ends reports.
Creds.
Quick chat. Off record, Jack let the pause linger. My contract ended at termination.
No obligation.
The tone chilled. We expected cooperation. Then maybe cooperate when firing loyal staff.
Click.
Megan emailed next, hinting at contract breach for withholding knowledge. Jack forwarded to his lawyer. Clause 8.2, support rights sever upon exit. He replied, your grasp on contracts is as shaky as your docs. By 8 o'clock, the fallout escalated. Our biggest client, a Reno casino chain worth $15 million yearly, paused orders pending audit clearance. Now delayed. Sarah muttered. Temporary glitch, but it was a sandstorm building. The CEO grilled. Why fire him? Mumbles about efficiency. Fresh ideas. Jack texted Megan one line. You treated expertise like disposable code. Rebuild wisely. Then powered down. The stars twinkling over his porch. I watched it unfold from my desk. Overtime unpaid. The office buzzed with whispers. Jack's family came up. His wife. A teacher in the local school district. His 2 kids in college. He'd missed family trips for outages. Built systems that indirectly funded community programs through our contracts. This wasn't just corporate, it felt personal. Like betraying a neighbor in a tight-knit western town. As night fell, the team scrambled. Manual reports pulled by hand, triple shifts. But the real crack was in morale. Engineers who'd idolized Jack felt the sting. I thought of my own family, how I defended the company at dinner tables, only to see it chew up good people. The drama thickened, rumors of board involvement, whispers of legal reviews. Jack's exit wasn't theft, it was revelation, exposing how fragile our innovative facade was without human glue. Sarah's confidence cracked too. She confided in a hallway chat. I thought an MBA meant I could handle anything. But out here in the West, where bootstrappers built empires from dust, degrees don't trump dirt under nails experience. The night dragged, systems limping. I wondered if Jack was sleeping soundly, or if the pull of loyalty tugged at him. Little did I know, the turning point was brewing, not in vengeance, but in quiet reflection. The next morning, the office felt like a ghost town in an old Western mining camp, tense, dusty, waiting for the showdown. Emails piled up from vendors, access denied. Our compliance suite, crucial for Nevada gaming regs,
Flagged non-compliance.
risking fines from state overseers. The board called an emergency Zoom, faces grim under cowboy hats and tech hoodies. Sarah pitched rebuilds, but her plans ignored Jack's layered safeguards, born from real-world hacks like the 2020 solar farm cyberattack that nearly tanked a competitor. I slipped out for coffee, thinking of Jack's family drama I'd overheard years back. His daughter, Emily, had battled health issues as a teen, rare autoimmune stuff that drained savings. Jack's overtime fixed it, funding treatments through company insurance he'd negotiated. Firing him? It wasn't just a job loss. It severed that safety net. Though legally, his severance covered Cobra. But emotionally?
A gut punch.
Back home, Jack wasn't plotting, he was with family. Over breakfast burritos, he told his wife, Linda, it's over. Time for that ranch hand gig I joked about. She laughed, but worry creased her eyes. Their son,
Tyler.
called from UNR. Dad, fight back. Jack shook his head. Not with fire.
Son.
With facts. He reviewed his contract again, airtight, per Nevada labor laws. No non-compete clause breached, his IP on custom tools reverted to him. By noon, the CEO caved. Reach out to Jack. Offer consulting, but pride stalled it. Megan drafted a reinstatement proposal, but it reeked of control. Meanwhile, a client escalated, $2 million project on hold. The CFO crunched numbers, downtime costs mounting to 6 figures daily. Whispers turned to shouts in halls. We need Jack. Jack's phone rang, Alan. A board vet from old Reno startup days. Coffee? Neutral ground. Jack agreed. A diner off Route 50. Chrome stools and bottomless Joe. Alan arrived in jeans.
No bluster.
We messed up. Systems are tanking. Jack sipped black coffee. Not my problem. Alan leaned in. What's it take to fix? Jack unfolded a napkin list. Reassigned Sarah to non-tech. Mandatory training for execs on infrastructure. Systems oversight to board. Not HR. Return as consultant. Autonomy. Fair pay. Not revenge, Jack said. Standards. And family leave policies strengthened. I've seen too many burn out. Alan nodded. Board votes tonight, Jack added. One more. Mentor program for overlooked talent. Back at the office, I fielded panic queries. A junior dev,
Mia.
confided. Jack taught me everything. This is wrong. I agreed. Sensing the social undercurrents, how corporate ladders ignored the foundation builders. The vote passed by evening. A courier delivered papers to Jack's door, consultant contract, per his terms. He signed, but held off full access. Prove the changes first. That night, Partial restores trickled in via his remote login, enough to staunch bleeding, but not heal. The drama shifted, Sarah's demotion announced quietly. To marketing. She stormed out, but later emailed Jack an apology. I undervalued experience. He replied, learn from it. Family ties deepen the tale. Linda urged forgiveness. You've got the power now. Use it kindly. Jack reflected on his own upbringing in rural Idaho, where community trumped cutthroat. The Trin Tam element emerged. Why the firing? Digging via Allen. It tied to a shady consultant push for MBA overhaul, ignoring legal due diligence on dependencies. As systems stabilized partially,
Morale flickered.
I organized an informal huddle, remembered Jack's lessons. Whispers of union talks bubbled, social psychology at play. The fired spark igniting collective awareness. Jack visited briefly. Not triumphant, but thoughtful. This isn't about me, he said. It's about valuing the unsung. The storm raged on, but hints of dawn broke, a more humane path ahead. With the contract inked, Jack didn't storm back like a hero in a Western flick. He worked remote, logging in from his home office overlooking the Truckee River. First order, audit the mess. He uncovered overlooked vulnerabilities, not sabotage, but neglect, like a ranch fence left to rot. Legal clarity, he emailed the board.
Per Nevada statutes.
Document all dependencies now. No finger-pointing, just fixes. Sarah's exit created ripples. She landed a gig in Vegas, but her apology lingered. Jack mentored Mia remotely, sharing stories of his early days fixing rigs in oil fields before tech. Experience beats paper, he said. Family drama wove in. Emily visited, hugging him. Dad. You stood up without stooping low. It humanized him, the man behind the code, prioritizing kin over grudges. The CEO implemented changes, exec boot camps on systems, led by Jack's picks. I attended one, learning how his 2015 failover saved us during floods. Social bonds strengthened, potlucks replaced sterile meetings, fostering that Western neighborly vibe. Trin Tam deepened. An internal probe revealed HR's consultant had conflicts, pushing firings for kickbacks. Legal team filed reports, avoiding scandal but enforcing ethics. Costs mounted, but Jack's phased restores minimized damage. Clients returned, impressed by transparency. You fix the human error, one said. Jack's article in a local tech blog, anonymized, sparked discussions on worker rights, echoing societal shifts post-pandemic. At home, Linda and Jack planned a family trip to Yellowstone, first in years. Tyler joked. Revenge tour. Jack smiled. Redemption road. The drama peaked when the board offered equity. Jack accepted modestly. For stability, not spite. Office culture evolved. Plaques for long-timers. Flexible hours. I felt the shift from cutthroat to communal. Jack's quiet return taught. Revenge fades. Growth endures. Months later, Sierra data hummed like a well-tuned engine. Jack's mentorship program thrived. Mia stepped up as his successor, her grit shining. No flashy comeback, just steady progress. The board's integrity audits became standard, embedding lessons in policy. Family healed. Jack coached Tyler's startup idea, blending tech with community solar projects for rural Nevada. Emily's health stabilized. They volunteered at local clinics, giving back. Sarah reached out again. Thanks for the grace. Jack replied, we all learn. The real ending wasn't triumph, but balance. One evening, watching the sunset over the mountains, Jack reflected, firing me exposed cracks, but fixing them built something stronger. No bitterness, a gentle lesson in valuing people over pedigrees.
In Reno's vast landscape,
Where resilience is key, the story closed on hope. Systems green. Hearts mended, proof that humanity trumps hardware. The takeaway? In the wild west of work, true power lies in lifting others, not leaving them in the dust.